ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Last class you were in born captivity. You were saying the analysis about how to see things clearly and how to understand what I am experiencing. It is right and clear, but I don't understand it rightly. So my question is, what is the dosha in the experience? With reference to dukkha, you said the dukkha component, it is temporary, ever changing. But what is the dosha of the experience? Defect in the experience.
In the last class, the question is reference the last session. This entire analysis I said is, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, dukkha doshanu darshanam. That is the reference. The capacity to see the dosha in everything. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukkha doshanu darshanam. Which he talks about it as the quality of a wise person. A wise person is one who will be able to see the dosha in everything. Dosha means what? Dosha means a defect, a fault. A fault, a defect is what we call as dosha. How to understand everything has dosha in it? That is the question. Correct?
What is the dosha in the experience?
What is the dosha in the experience? What is the defect in the experience? The defect in the experience is it makes you to believe that the experience is real. That is the dosha. What is the defect of it? You experience something, and because you are experiencing it, you believe that it's real. So the dosha is what you are experiencing is not real. So dosha means a defect. What is the defect? You are experiencing it and you believe that what you are experiencing is actually happening. Whereas the reality is, it isn't the case. So understanding this, this means what?
That it is not.
Yeah. That is knowledge. Yes, that is knowledge. So the dosha of experience is that which is temporary, impermanent, it makes you to believe it is permanent. That is the dosha. Are you able to follow?
But the happening is real. Although it is temporary.
The happening is real. Is your experiences real? That is the question. Is your experiences real? What is the definition of reality? How would you define something real? Since you say, is it real? The question is, how would you define? How would you define reality? What is the definition of reality? Reality means that which exists over all periods of time. Something that which existed in the past, that which will continue to exist in the present and will continue in the future is called real. Correct? This is the definition of real. So, taking this as the definition of reality, you have to examine your experience. You are working the other way. You are experiencing it, it is real, full stop. So, what they are saying is and all doesn't matter. Are you able to follow? You have a definition of reality. What is your definition of reality? I am experiencing it, full stop. Existing in all periods of time, past, present, future and all, doesn't apply to me. Are you able to follow? It's not only you, everybody thinks like that. Anybody, even if one person in our generation can wake up and understand this, he's a wise person. You can hear it a million times. This is the definition of reality, but you will go back thinking what you are experiencing alone is real. Repeated knowledge and understanding is required to repeated knowledge, repeated understanding. Lot of effort is required. It's not a logical conclusion. Though it is logical, it won't bring a transformation immediately. It will take a long time to understand that what you are experiencing is not real. Does that mean it is unreal? That is linguistic opposite thinking. Does it mean it is unreal? No, it's not unreal either. Then what is the nature? What is the nature of experience? The nature of experience is such that you can never conclusively say it is real or unreal. You can never come to a conclusive understanding. Are you able to follow? So, experience means what? You can never conclude whether it is real or unreal. Are you able to follow? It means there is a confusion. This confusion is the dosha. In every experience, there is a confusion. What is the confusion? Is it real or not? Is it real? No. Is it unreal? No. Then what it is? Partly real, partly unreal. Something cannot be partly real and partly unreal. Therefore, what it is? Therefore, what it is? What is the word that we use? Maya. Maya. Another word for Maya is ignorance, correct? And ignorance is dosha. Because wherever you are ignorant, it is a defect, Isn't it ignorance a defect? In that sense, all experiences have defect because all experiences has ignorance as the base, and this ignorance is dosha. That's how you have to understand. You follow? Go over it again. You go over it again. I have said this already. All experiences, the root of experience is ignorance. Are you able to understand that? If you understand root of experience is ignorance, and ignorance is dosha. Correct? Therefore, all experiences has dosha in it. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. All experiences are wombs of sorrow, dukkha, defect, born out of ignorance, dosha. That's what this chapter, Born in Captivity, is analyzing, which is what I said last class.
But you say experience is temporary. Then why do you use temporary? And temporarily something is happening in you.
You think about it and come back. You think about it and come back. Just because temporarily it is happening, who is saying that it is happening? Wednesday we discussed this. Yesterday we discussed this. Who said it is happening? What is the proof that it is happening? Therefore, think about it and come back again. What she is asking is, isn't it happening? Even though why do you have to call it temporary? Because it is happening. That is the question. How do you answer that? How do you understand that? It is happening. Yes or no? Is the class happening? Yes or no? Yes. How can you say? What are you? It may be temporary, but isn't it? Isn't it happening? The question. What is the answer? What is the answer to this? You never know whether it is happening or not. As long as you are in it, you believe it is happening. For something to happen, you need to connect with it. You need to have an identification. It depends on from which angle you are looking at it. For something to happen, you need to have for something to happen, according to you, what you need? For you to register it as happening, what you need? You need a connection. If that connection isn't there, according to you, it's not happening. Are you able to follow? Earthquake in Mexico. There's no earthquake in Mexico. I'm just saying a news, supposing a news. Earthquake in Mexico, 50,000 dead, 500,000 rendered homeless. You read that. You don't even know where is Mexico. And you have no empathy, no connection with anybody suffering. What does that happen to you? Is it happening to you? Yes or no?
Yes, I feel important.
Because you are feeling there is a connection. If you are not feeling for people suffering, you are so preoccupied. There is a death in your house. The nearest person to you is dead. And that is the time the newspaper news comes. What is happening? Are you able to follow? What is happening? You are in ICU, in coma. You don't even know what is happening. Are you able to follow? This is how you have to investigate and see how it is connected Lex. Are you able to follow? This is how you should be able to, this is how you should reflect. When you say it is happening, you are, oh my God, started again. Recording தொல்லை தாங்க முடியல. Too much to handle. You follow? So when you say something is happening, what is happening? It happens because you are connected to it. If you are not connected to it, it's not happening. Are you able to follow? A rose exists. Rose is not happening unless you connect with it. Something happens to you. Existence of the rose has got nothing to do as far as you are concerned. The rose exists. Are you able to follow? If you have a business mind, how you will connect with the rose? First export license வாங்கணும், isn't it? And I have to find out very good who are the fellows? Logistics persons I have to connect with. Very good opportunity. Now your connection with the rose, is it because of the rose or is it because of you? Are you able to follow? It means another person, artist will look at the rose, isn't it? An artist will look at the rose and the artist will want to immediately capture it on paper, isn't it? Why that has to come onto the paper, isn't it? It can be on the road, it can be there only. No. The person will have to convert it onto the paper. You follow? Somebody will see garland and offer it to the goddess. Connection with the rose happens only when you go and connect. You experience the rose only when you have a connection with it. When there is no connection with it, as far as you are concerned, it is not happening. But sir, world is continuing to exist. No, everything is happening. No, I am not there, but everything is happening. No, correct? What is the answer to that? It's like the dreamer saying, I have woken up, but the dream is continuing to exist. The waker with this fellow will wake up, but we all will continue to be in suffering. No. Are you able to follow? All the people in the dream are saying what? We are all the product of the dreamer. Correct? That fellow will wake up and go, but we will continue to suffer. What to do now? Impossible to accept that it is unreal. Even the doubt that it is unreal is too much to digest. For everybody, not only for her, it's for everybody. A person like Rama is able to do that. In Born in Captivity lesson, that's what the attempt is. Just to plant the doubt. If you have the doubt, you are all right. But don't conclude that it is unreal. It's not your conclusion. Doubt. All these attempts is for what? Not to make you understand it. It is to make you understand that it is doubt. Plant the doubt. So much of analysis is done for what? To plant the doubt. Is it okay?
Sure.
Think about it. Before asking a question, certain homework must be done. When we say experience means, what do we mean by experience? Subject and object. We have said all this, correct? Subject and object. And what is the object made up of? What is object? Experience is interaction between subject and object. And what is object? Nama, Rupa, function. That's all. Nama, Rupa, function. That is the object. What is the subject? What is the subject? Having corresponding instruments. Having the corresponding instruments is the subject. So, when a person with the corresponding instruments comes in contact with this Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma, there arises something, and that is called an experience. Correct? It means an experience is constituted of what? Instruments, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma. So experience means instruments and Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma. Correct? Are you okay? Huh? Instruments are constantly ever changing. The Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma is constantly ever changing. In this mass of something that is constantly ever changing, what are you seeing it as real? What are you seeing it as happening? This is how you have to understand. Are you able to follow? Everything is changing. What is changing? The quality of the instruments, the nature of the instrument is ever changing. The Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma, the objects are also constantly changing. So the subject is ever changing, the object is ever changing. And when these two ever changing things get together, they experience something which is permanent. That's the Maya. That's why it's called Maya. When two changing things encounter, instead of experiencing changes, they experience something which is real. Exactly like you see movie on the screen, the film has to run at a particular speed. When the film runs at a particular speed, you see a person running. If you slow down the speed, it is each and every frame. It will be like broken man, isn't it? If the film runs at a speed only, then you see a continuity. If the speed is reduced, how would you see the man lifting his hand? How would you see the man lifting his hand? Full of jerks, no connection. One frame will be like this, another frame is like this, another frame is like this. But when all gets connected and run at a particular speed, you see it as moving like this. Therefore, the moving is because of what? It is happening at a speed. The vega, the speed makes you to see it. Reduce the speed. Then you will see what is happening. Reduce the speed. You will know that nobody is running, nobody is fighting, nobody is doing anything. It's all individual frames. Correct? This is how you have to understand. The speed makes you to believe that something is happening. Just as the child who doesn't understand this actually believes that it's happening. Okay. I watched the Rajinikanth movie Basha. Rajinikanth is sitting and watching that movie Basha. What is the difference? He is also sitting and watching. The director is also watching. I am watching the movie. That the actor Rajinikanth is watching the movie. Director Suresh Krishna. That name also I remember. That fellow director is also sitting and watching. How many times I have seen that? So he is also sitting and watching the movie. How will you see it? How will you see it? You will see it as real. How will Rajinikanth see it? Oh, the scene he will say, isn't it? What a back pain I got. What an injury I got. You follow? That is that man. The director will say, oh my God, what a blunder I made in this scene. Thank God nobody noticed it. Are you able to follow? What is happening there? Something is happening which you cannot really determine what it is. Something is happening which you really cannot determine what it is. That's Maya. Are you able to follow? So, when you are talking about an experience, what you should do, subject and object. Subject means assemblage of instruments. What is subject? Assembly of instruments. What is an object? Nama, Rupa, Guna, Karma. When these two interacts, what happens? There arises something called an experience. Experience means I know. I know here is an apple. Experience means knowledge. I know here is an apple. I know there is no apple here. So what is an experience? Experience is knowing. Only when you know, you call it as experience. By the time you can know it, it is changed already. Thank God the instruments are not designed to see it. We have seen it any number of times. Your instruments are not designed to see the change. Your buddhi is supposed to understand the change. With your perceptions, with your eyes, you cannot see the change. With your eyes, everything looks. With your eyes, everything looks stable only. With your eyes, you should not see the world revolving. Huh? Correct? With your eyes, if you are seeing the world revolving, Srikant, isn't it? It's not the world is revolving. Your head is spinning inside Nartham. Correct? If you have to see the earth revolving, when can you see it? Only when you go apart from it. Only when you stand apart from it. So if you have to see an experience, you should know how to stand apart from it. When you can stand apart from an experience, that standing apart is called Vairagya, Sakshi Bhava, witnessing. When you can stand apart and see, then you understand what? It is full of dukkha, it is full of dosha. Is it okay? This is how you understand. And we have covered up to herd instinct, isn't it? We have covered up to herd instinct. So yeah, we have covered up to herd instinct. Herd instinct is a trail left behind by the parents, peers, predecessors, and following the trail. Why? Because it is so convenient to follow that. It is so easy, it is so convenient. To move away from the herd instinct, you need courage. You follow? To move away from the herd instinct, you need courage. You need courage. You should be able to take risks because you are plunging into something that is a unknown territory. You are plunging into an unknown thing. It means you need. So herd instinct. What is the opposite of herd instinct? What is the bondage if you are not having, if you are following herd instinct? What is the bondage? Bondage of the fear, not wanting to explore. The fear. What is the fear? தெரிஞ்ச ரூட்லயே போயிடலாம் சார். எதுக்கு why go and take a new route? Yeah, correct. I remember, I don't know whether Prasad remembers or not, I remember. He told me 20 years back, one of the time when we were going, sir, every time I like taking new routes, he said once. Prasad doesn't remember that. Said every day the same road, take that route, take this route. Why go through the same route? Herd instinct is there is a road, stick to that. Why even take a different? Why? Because in herd instinct there is a solace. In herd instinct there is a comfort. In herd instinct there is a protection. Remember, in herd instinct there is an imaginary protection. There is no protection there. It's all imaginary. If it is real protection, why do you have to get out of it? You follow? It is an imaginary protection. You imagine that you are imagine that you are protected. You imagine that you are safe. You imagine that it's all well set. Few realize the consequences of this mechanical, thoughtless pursuits. Mechanical, thoughtless pursuits. The human mind requires nowadays what they call as comfort, isn't it? And then they should get out of your comfort, zone, isn't it? That the human mind requires a comfort. And what is the comfort? The comfort that doesn't allow them to break the mechanical, thoughtless pursuit. This is called herd. This is the captivity of herd instinct. It is not dismissing the past as wrong. It is not calling others as wrong. Please understand that. Breaking the herd instinct doesn't mean you break you don't follow the trail left behind by the parents, peers, predecessors. Doesn't mean you start calling all of them as wrong or bad. It's not that. You have the courage to explore something. You have the courage to explore something. Most lack this courage, isn't it? When you invest, how you should invest? Shankar. How you should invest? Safety mukyam sir, first thing. Inna safe arkano. Madam. Safety. Because I don't know. 100 rupees she's having and she's torturing my brain for 3 months to. In all that she's got is only 100 rupees in hand. I said, 100 rupees koil undela potrungo. I said, punya you will get and you will be free from it. For 100 rupees, why do you break your head so much for investing and all that? So investment. First thing is what? Safety, sir. Low risk, medium risk, high risk. My God. Low risk, medium risk, high risk. Returns. Returns. Some returns. 10th minute, my head is spinning. Yeah. He started seeing, I couldn't understand head or tail. What is head or tail? I couldn't understand what is happening. Then I said, I don't have an intellect and all. Shankar has an intellect, go to him, I said. He also doesn't have an intellect, but what to do now? Not that he has an intellect or anything. I said, go to him. Why? Well, anyway, disaster. No. So I don't want to be a party of the disaster. So let him guide you and let it become a disaster. So even there, you see how much of it is. You can understand what is exploration? What is the safety network? Please understand. He is not saying be reckless. Since a human mind, you know only one way of thinking, which is thinking in opposites. Since you know only one way, which is not thinking at all, is when you say herd instinct, we are not saying be reckless. Recklessness is not what is said as breaking the herd instinct, because that is another problem. Herd instinct is one problem. Recklessness is a greater problem. So we are not, that's not what he's saying. Then what is herd instinct? Bondage of herd instinct. The bondage of herd instinct is a fear, not wanting to explore. It's captivity. It's captivity. Why it is captive? Growth means exploration. Growth cannot happen in comfort. Growth can happen only in does growth happen in comfort, or does growth happen in uncertainty, fight? When does growth happen? You keep everything so comfortable and conducive, will growth happen? Growth will not happen. For growth to happen, there has to be a fight. There has to be a fight. What a fight that sapling does to get out of the earth and just come out and see the sun. What amount of effort it has to do, isn't it? Just to come out and look at the sun, and then to grow into a plant and a tree and touches the heaven, as it were, isn't it? Herd instinct is that. That's all. Herd instinct is not looking for comfort all the time. Safety and comfort first. Safety comes first, sir. Comfort comes first, sir. Very good. What will happen? Growth will not happen. That's all. But then why am I not growing? You got to break it. That's what the captivity of herd instinct is all about. It's not recklessness. It's not being unintelligent. It is a willingness to willingness to take 2 steps into the dark. That's all. Just that willingness to take 2 steps. You would need a powerful intellect to circumvent the mind's trail, to rise above the environmental and circumstantial pressures and establish your own identity. Herd instinct will not allow you to establish your identity. You will not be you. You will be decided by the other. That is herd instinct. You got to be you. And everybody wants to be themselves. But nobody wants to pay the price. That is the problem. I also want to be by myself, sir. Who I am, I want to. But then it comes with but then you got to pay a price. Meaningful things in life comes with the price. And whoever has the courage to pay the price, they attain. And what is paying the price means breaking the herd instinct. Breaking that herd instinct. This is born in captivity in relation to the herd instinct. Now we are going to study born in captivity product of one's nature, vasanas. படிக்கலாம்.
Product of one's nature, Vasanas. Human beings are all born with distinct and different natures known in Sanskrit language as Vasanas. Vasanas are one's inherent tendencies, inclinations, which manifest from early childhood. Together they constitute the features which define a person's individual character. The vasanas of an individual project as his characteristic temperament. Thus, legal vasanas manifest as a lawyer, engineering vasanas as an engineer, medical vasanas as a doctor, etc. Parents and guardians ought to know this stark reality and not interfere with the flow of vasanas beyond a point of necessity. Their irrational interference would break the backbone of the youngster. A true episode that occurred in Chennai, India, drives home this point. An eminent surgeon commanded a large medical practice in the city. His family comprised himself, his wife, and a son. Both the parents doted on their son. In his extreme attachment, the surgeon wanted his son also to become a surgeon. To fulfill his desire, he built a private 5-storied building to house his surgery. The boy grew up, finished his high school, and opted to study automobile engineering. The father flew into a rage and screamed, "For whom do you think I built this surgery?" and actually forced the poor boy into joining the medical school. Succumbing to the pressure, the boy struggled to complete his course and became a surgeon in his father's hospital. Thereafter, the father expired, bequeathing the hospital to his son. But the tragic scene in that setup is the plight of the young surgeon. He's seen most of the time engaged in his garage, fixing the problems with the hospital vehicles, while his colleagues operated on the patients. Parents, seniors need to learn their lesson from this episode. Their obligation lies in giving a direction when their advice is sought. But the sad state of youngsters is that the elders, lacking adequate knowledge of life and living, shower incessant, unsought sermons upon them. However, the young would do well to keep their minds open, remain cool, and examine the advices given to them on merit. May seek wiser counsel when necessary and act on one's discerning intellect. There is no need to argue or lose one's temper. Let one of the parties observe this rule, there should be no problem whatsoever. If, however, both discard it and assert each one's views, there is bound to be conflict and chaos in their relationship. Hence, it is incumbent upon one to choose a field of activity according to the nature of one's vasanas. The vasanas would then support, accelerate the actions. But if one chooses a field alien to one's vasanas, then they would retard the actions. It is a phenomenon much like the tail or head wind affecting the speed of an aircraft. Where there's a tailwind, the plane moves faster than its own speed, and with a headwind, its speed is reduced.
Vasana. Vasana is a Sanskrit term. And one of the very important Vedantic terms that we need to understand is this word, Vasana. Born in captivity, a human is captive of the Vasana. Now, what is Vasana? Vasana comes from the root vas. Etymologically, Vasana comes from the root word vas, means dwelling, residue, that which is left behind. So the vas means dwelling, residue, reminder. Reminder means that which remains after something has happened and it's over, but something is left behind. So that, what is the definition of Vasana? That which is left behind after the action is called Vasana. So this is the definition of the word Vasana. Again, I repeat. Vasana means after the action, something is left behind. That which is left behind after the action is called Vasana. And that which is left behind after the action influences your choices, behaviors, etc. That which is left behind after the action influences your choices, behavior, etc. So it is like, that is why Vasana, the example that is given is, you leave a pure sample of camphor in open, come back 30 minutes later, that camphor would have been dissolved completely. But you can smell. It's not there, but you can smell. Something is left behind, isn't it? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, Vasana is, after you cut garlic, the third day also the odor remains in the hand, he says. That is Vasana. This is Ramakrishna's example. Beautiful way Vasana means what? You cut it. Third day also it is left in the hand. So you do something, out of the doing, something is left behind, and that what is left behind defines, and that what is left behind defines you. This is what is called Vasana. Another meaning for the word Vasana is a clothing, covering. Vasana means clothing, covering. That which covers. Now, in this context, we are not taking the word covering. In some context, when we use the word Vasana, we mean it as covering, like the koshas. In this context, we are not taking the meaning of the word covering. We are taking the meaning of the residue, the remainder, that which is left behind. That which is left behind, which acts like the driving force and motivates one's choices, actions, attitudes, etc., is called Vasana. Now, what is he saying here? What is the captivity here? Every human being is born with the distinct nature. Every human being is born with the distinct nature. all lions will hunt. You will never find a meditative, vegetarian, vegan lion, isn't it? Because there is no distinct and different nature. It is known as collective nature. All species functions on collective nature. Human beings function on individual nature. This is the most difficult thing to accept in life. All beings live on, all other species live according to collective nature. Collective nature means what the lions did is what they are doing, is what they will continue to do. You follow? Human being is born with a distinct individual nature. When you say distinct individual nature, it means it is unconnected to distinct individual nature means what? Very difficult for people to accept it. Distinct different nature means what? Something they are coming on their own. Something they come up on their own. Are you able to follow? Krishna's sons, none of them were Krishnas. You know that, no? Not even anywhere closer to him. In fact, opposite. The entire Yadava clan has to be annihilated because of whom? You know that? Krishna has to annihilate the entire Yadava clan because of the trouble created by, because of the trouble created by his own sons. Hiranyakashipu will give birth to a Hiranyakashipu gives birth to a Prahlada, and Krishna gives birth to somebody else. It means what? The fundamental thing of a human being is they come up with their individual nature. The mistake that people make and they get caught up is what? They don't realize and accept the individual nature. They go by, they try to make things based on their, whatever they feel is the nature is. What do you want your children to become? Wonderful, selfless human being. Correct? Abdi solno. Nobody will say that. Srikanth. Yeah. What do you want your children to become? If anybody were to come and ask, what do you want your children to become? What should be your answer? Palatur. You should say, I want them to become a wonderful, selfless human being. But nobody will say that. What do you want your children to become? Doctor, engineer, I don't know what all it is. This is the captivity. So another captivity is what? Not recognizing that they have an individual nature. When you recognize that they have an individual nature, it becomes your obligation to guide them in that nature. Isn't it? Today, choices are made based on only one condition. What is the only condition upon which choices are made? One condition, for all choices are defined only by one condition. What? Economic consideration. That's all. Very good university, sir. How do you say that? நல்ல ப்ரொஃபஸர் இருக்கிறாங்களா? பிளேஸ்மெண்ட். ஃபிஃப்த் செமஸ்டர் முடியும் போதே வேலை வாங்கி கொடுத்துருவாங்க, isn't it? So by the time you finish your fifth semester, you are guaranteed for a job. That's all. So this is captivity. He is not saying economic consideration should not be there. Economic consideration is there by default anyway, whether you like it or not. What is there to make a choice about it? Are you able to follow? In the Purushartha of the things that human beings need in life, the first is artha, wealth. So there is no need to separately have a plan for wealth. Born in captivity in relation to the Vasanas says what? All choices are made based on economic considerations. What is economic consideration? If your friend comes and complains that my daughter wants to go and join the art school and do painting, what will you advise? Utrunga sir, you should leave them. Everybody must pursue what they want to do and all that. Your child comes and says, I want to go to art school and start drawing. What will you say? Hobby isn't it? All that is okay for time pass, but in reality and all, you should do something else. Are you able to follow? Captivity. That's what he says. Parents, seniors needs to learn this lesson, not children, because you can't go and teach this to children. This can be taught only to the parents, the seniors. What? Lacking this knowledge of adequate knowledge of life and living, they shower. What do they shower? They shower guidances with the thinking that they are only intending good. Ultimately, all the guidances are misguiding only. Why? Because no reference to the nature, purely on economic. All choices are made based on the economic consideration, isn't it? What happens if you do it like that? What in Sanskrit they call as Atma Tripti, isn't it? When you do something, you should have the Tripti. Tripti means a supreme contentment. A supreme contentment of doing what you are, that Atma Tripti. That Atma Tripti is freedom. Captivity is opposite of that. Are you able to follow? Even today they use the word, I am doing, sir, I have made money, I have become good, become successful and all that. But there is no Tripti. But Anna, there is no, something is missing. Something is missing. What is missing? What is lacking? You are suffering from inside. You are suffering from inside. Why are you suffering from inside? Because you are not willing to stand up for your nature. You are not willing to stand up for your nature. You are not willing to act according to your nature. Therefore, captivity here. So Vasanas, captivity here refers to what? Refers to you have a past. And the freedom is not creating something new, suffocating the past. Go along with the past, follow the right principles, and get to the selfless state, is what we are trying. Are you able to follow? Follow your past, take up something according to your past. In that, what you take up, follow the dharma, follow the rules, follow the dharma and become selfless. That's what we are trying. If not, what happens? Already I have a past. I'm not attending to that. I'm suffocated and I'm creating something. And I'm creating something new, isn't it? New. The freedom they had in the past was a beautiful thing. What is a beautiful thing? It's a beautiful lifestyle at one point of time. They will go to the same barber. How many ever times he cuts the face, isn't it? How he will cut the face only. He will not shave you. 3-4 times he will cut the face. But they will continue to go to the same barber. They will continue to go to the same tailor. And they will continue to go to the what today they call as the brand, how to retain the brand loyalty, isn't it? How to retain all that. They come today, but no guarantee that they are going to come. No guarantee that they are going to come tomorrow. How to make people come again and again and again. God only knows how you can make them come again and again. And you follow? Therefore, Vasana, another captivity. Here we are not talking about Vasana as in bondage, ignorance, self-realization and all. Here, Vasana is being used in the context of not following your Swadharma is a captivity. In this context, in this book, in this context, remember that. We are not using the word Vasana here to mean bondage, ignorance, self-realization, not in that sense. Vijay, purida? Because in some other class, when you talk about Vasana and all, we use Vasana in synonymous with ignorance, etc., bondage and all that. Here, Vasana is used in the sense of, here the word Vasana is used in the sense of Swadharma, Swabhava. You can use the word Swabhava, you can use the word Swadharma, all are very loosely used here. So, in this context, when we say Vasanas, what do you mean? You have a feature that defines the individual character. A feature that defines the individual character, the individual temperament. That's what you are now, and that's what you have now, and that's what you got to make use of it rightly. Since you are that, and if you can make use of it rightly, the example that is giving is the tailwind. It's the tailwind towards what? Towards growth, not material growth here. What we mean by growth here is the spiritual growth. It acts like the tailwind aiding your spiritual growth. If not, headwind. There is a struggle. You got to interfere where there is no, where proper understanding and guidance is required to go along with the nature. Sermons or advices are given to go against the nature. Against the nature. And every one of you will be having one person doing contradictory things. Personally, he's talking about his experience of the doctor family and all that. I had the personal experience. When I was living in Mysore for a period of time, my father does all the rituals and everything very, very religiously and everything. So in order to do that, you need a priest, no? The Brahmin, the priest, to come and do that. 3 years, one priest used to come. We didn't know anything about that priest. Suddenly one day, there was a police jeep in front of the house. We were wondering why, police, nobody will want to say welcome, no, isn't it? There is a reason. Why this fellow? So shocked to see the priest walking in the police uniform. Then only we knew that he is the policeman. Next day, there is a ritual. He came to tell us that, and there was that's the time that Veerappan was there in Chamarajnagar, that area. So he was going on a deputation for a week. So he came to tell us that urgently he was deputed and he's going there, that he can't come tomorrow. Can you believe, Venkat? Can you believe ஒரு ஐபிஎஸ் ஆஃபீஸர் வந்து சாஸ்திரிகள் வேலை பார்க்குறாரு? An IPS officer doing I asked him, how many houses you go? No, sir. I come only to your house. I said, why are you doing? Then why did you did this IPS? Father said, priest job, nothing you will get. He forced me to become an IPS and all that. But why are you doing this? This is what I love to do. And I like you so much. You are so sincere in certain things. So I'm coming here and I'm doing this. This is what he calls as impossible to conceive of. An IPS officer can come and sit and do the Shastri's work. Even today, if there's any big function in the house, we call him. Some of you people came for some of my family functions, some of you people came, that fellow will come. I will not introduce him to anybody, because that's his request also. Because they will start calling him, come, he's not going to do all that. This is what happens when you do something which is alien to your nature. Alien to your nature. So difficult, because it is something not happening according to it's not happening according to their nature. Therefore, what happens? They get so angry, they get so irritated, they get so frustrated, and then complain. A small thing is enough. One small thing is enough to make them get worried, depressed. Therefore, it is very important that you choose something according to your vasanas, which should act as the tailwind supporting your growth. And a very beautiful Sanskrit word is this word, vasana. Another benefit that this knowledge does to the seniors, the adults, the parents, is they will not claim or assume such an aggressive ownership on the children. If they understand this, because they know what they only facilitated the birth of the body. That's all. They never produced the child. They facilitated the birth of the body. Somebody came and Vijay, you facilitate the body, somebody comes and somebody with the baggage comes and occupies the body. So you need to be very careful of who is that person that has occupied and help accordingly. That is freedom. I will understand how it actually helps how this knowledge helps the child as well as it helps the child as well as the parent. Because they understand what that aggressive ownership they claim. What is that aggressive ownership they claim? My child. If you know that it's not yours, then what happens? You will turn indifferent and kick them out of the house. What would you do? What would you do then? You know how to guide properly and maintain a right distance and not interfere too much. Otherwise, what will happen? Every stage is Interference. What to eat, what not to eat, how to sit, how not to sit, what to wear, what not to wear, whom to meet, whom not to meet, what to talk, what not to talk. Everything is governed, monitored, guided. All because my child, and they don't know anything. And unless I take this care, they will go down the drain. Huh? Universally, everybody is going down the drain because of this reason. How much ever you take care, it goes down. Why? Because no connection to their nature. And when you understand that it is a residue, it is a reminder of the past action. That's why the meaning of the definition of the word Vasana itself will give you the clarity. That's why the definition of the word Vasana itself must give you the clarity. That's why the Sanskrit words are so beautiful, because repeating the words itself, you know exactly what you are saying. Vasana comes from the root vas. Vas means residue. Something that remains after and that which is a leftover of an action is called Vasana. Are you able to follow? It means something they have been doing in the past. Who they were, what they were doing and all, nobody knows. But then they were definitely doing something, and the doing gave them, made them what they are. If you guide them in that direction, it acts as a tailwind for their growth. It acts as a tailwind for their growth. What do you mean by tailwind for their growth? See, when you do something according to your nature, there is a tripti, what we call as Atma Tripti. This Atma Tripti is that which brings about a calmness to the mind. Tapovi Kshina Papanam Shantanam Vitaraginam, he says, it brings a Shanti, calmness to the mind. When there is a calm, when there is an inner calmness, subtler questions about life can be asked. When there is no calmness and there is turbulence inside, what subtler questions of life can be asked when you are in turbulence? Only one question you can ask. What? Only one question you can ask. What? The people come and ask, how to be happy, sir? You know, when they ask how to be happy means, what are they actually asking? When somebody comes and says, I want to be happy, what are they actually asking? Give me a method to forget my misery. All happiness is a temporarily forgetting your misery. You know that? Whatsoever you call as happiness is nothing but you temporarily forget your misery. A fellow picks up a cigarette and smokes. For what? He also knows that there is no connection between smoking and the agitation. But then he does it, correct? A person takes up, a person have a drink. A person go to a movie. For what? எல்லாத்தையும் மறந்துட்டு நிம்மதியா பார்க்கணும் சார். Isn't it? Forget what? What do you want to forget? What do you want to forget? Self-forgetting. Self-forgetting means misery forgetting. So when a person says, I want to be happy, what do they mean by I want to be happy? I want to be happy so that I can forget my miseries. Freedom is not temporarily forgetting your misery, misunderstanding the temporary forgetting the misery as happiness. Whatever makes you to temporarily forget it, you will get addicted to that and you will want it again. You are in misery. A cigarette gives you freedom. Alcohol gives you temporary freedom. Or somebody pampering to you, catering to you, gives you the temporary thing. Immediately, what do you want? Every time you are in misery, pain, suffering, what will you think? If you believe smoking is going to give you freedom, every time you are in misery, you will be reminded of cigarette. If you think alcohol, every time you are in misery, you will be reminded of alcohol. If you think some person is going to give you freedom from your misery, immediately you will start thinking of that person. And then you have to call, are you free? That person says, before you called, I was free. Now that you are calling, I have lost my. Yeah. That day I came in association with you, I lost my freedom. Before that, I was free. Now where is the freedom? You follow? So what is tailwind here? The tailwind is that which, when you do something according to your nature, there is a tripti. That tripti brings an inner calmness. That inner calmness will make you to ask certain penetrative questions about life and grow. What he says in this is, this he calls it as the obligation of the parent. The obligation of the parent and seniors is to guide in this direction, he says. This is captive as far as the Vasana is concerned. The next captive is where we will find it very, very interesting. Captive of the mind. One of the long topics in this chapter. Captive of the mind. We'll start next week with the captive of the mind. Today, Vasana. In this context, I'm repeating again. In this context, Vasana is used in synonymous with the individual nature, Swadharma, and freedom means if you want to get freedom, you got to choose something according to your Swadharma. Having made the choice according to your nature, it has to be guided by Dharma. That's why it's called Swadharma. It's not just your nature. Just choosing your nature itself doesn't make a big difference. You got to choose something according to your nature, and then it got to be guided by. It got to be guided. When this is happening, it acts like a tailwind. When this happens, it acts like a tailwind. This is the topic. Born in captivity, captive of Vasanas, nature. The next topic, captive of the mind, will continue next session. Do we have anything? We don't.
Yes, Mala has posted.
Okay. I have seen people getting angry and abusive always. Is it possible that this is their Vasana? I understand that these are mental agitations due to the wrong expectations and unwilling to accept. Mala, if you see anybody getting angry and abusive, is it possible that it is their Vasana? Yes. It is their Vasana. Correct. It's very obvious, no? It is their Vasana. That's why they are behaving like that. If somebody is sacrificial, somebody is affectionate, somebody is sacrificial, what is that? It's Vasana, no? Similarly, somebody is bitter, somebody is snubbing all the time, somebody is abusive, angry. It means that is that person's nature. Yes, it is their Vasana. Now, why it is so, why they got it and all, we are not discussing here. எதனால அவங்களுக்கு அப்படி ஆச்சு? What is the way out? That we are not discussing here. Here we are only discussing, is it they have a nature. So the question, I have seen people getting angry and abusive always. Is it possible that this is their vasana? Answer is yes, it's their vasana. Once you understand it as their vasana, you will know how to associate appropriately. You will know how to associate, and relate rightly.
Sir. Sir,
Yes, கேக்குறது சொல்லுங்க.
having understood that it is a vasana, are vasanas changeable? I mean, if it is bad.
Yes, it is changeable. Yes, it is changeable. That's what we are trying here. You have a vasana, and if it is not something that is beneficial for your growth, spiritual sadhana, spiritual tapas is nothing but trying to change. You can change it. Because of the possibility of the change is there, we are doing all this. Supposing if we say that it is unchangeable, abdinna, a thief will be a thief for eternity. A saint will be a saint for eternity. Yeah. Which is not the case. You see a thief turning into a saint. Who do you thought as a saint was actually a thief, isn't it? That's a possibility, isn't it? You thought this fellow was a saint, but then actually that fellow turned out to be a cheat. You actually thought some like Valmiki turning into a highway robber turned into a Valmiki, isn't it? Kaushika turned into a Vishwamitra, isn't it? Kaushika turned into Vishwamitra. You follow? So vasanas can be changed.
Provided they realize it and they detach it and.
Just provided, correct. Mala, அதுதான் provided. அதுதான் மிகப்பெரிய பாயிண்ட் அங்க. Provided they realize it, they find it as wrong, and they want to change. If they don't realize it, and if they don't want to change, what can you do?
And others, if it is their duty, they need to still support them regardless of their vasanas.
Yes. If you have an obligation, you got to do an obligation irrespective of
their bad vasana.
Irrespective of their vasana, you got to do your obligation. But then you maintain a distance. You maintain a distance. But your obligations continues. Your obligation will continue because the fact is you are the beneficiary, no? Isn't it? See, I am hungry. I'm not actually hungry, yeah? I'm just saying. I'm hungry. Oh, the wrong example, but anyway, I haven't started this. I will continue with this example. Yeah, wrong example. But I didn't want to, but anyway, I'll continue. I'm hungry. And my wife gets very irritated. Every time you are hungry. She is cursing and scolding and giving all kind of shapa while cooking and giving me the food. And I ate that food. Will my hunger get appeased? Yes or no? Yes, my hunger will get appeased. For that act of my hunger being appeased, I should be grateful. Are you able to follow? Irrespective of that person's nature, I got to benefit, no? Mala, are you able to follow? Therefore, I have an obligation and I serve. At the same time, because of their unpleasantness, you don't want to get so close to them so that it will get rubbed on to you also. So that you maintain the right, so that you maintain the safe distance, the right distance.
The distance is anyway required to be maintained regardless of whether other person has having good or bad vasanas.
This is sannyasi. This is a state of sannyas, correct? One day, that's what we are aspiring to. Whether it is good or bad, right, wrong, why will I bother? I have nothing to do with See, when I have nothing to do with my own instruments, what do I have to do with all the things around me? It's all one drama that's happening, isn't it? So you give it a value of what value you give to the drama when you are an actor. Remember that. Huh? What value you give when you are the actor to the drama? What value you will give? Zero value, no. People will call you a king, but you know that you are not a king. Scene mudinja one, the fellow will say, chair tukinwa, he will say, isn't it? You can't say, I was the king, no. Why are you asking me to lift the chair? So anyway, it's very clear. Are you okay, Mala?
Anshu.
Third instinct. How can we tell the boundary between recklessness and the fight for growth? How can we distinguish between recklessness and growth? Recklessness is an impulsive nature determined by raga dvesha. Recklessness is impulsive in nature. You follow? Spiritual growth is a well thought of, programmed, guided activities. That is the difference. Spiritual growth is a well thought of, guided set of activities. Recklessness is impulsive. It is impulsive. You follow the difference? That is why we say, that's why I said we should understand clearly the distinction between the two. Impulsive versus a well thought of, guided set of actions. Well thought of, guided set of actions is tapas. Trying to stick to that is tapas, which is the fight for growth. Distinct and different from that is being very, very reckless. Recklessness means very, very impulsive. Is it clear, Anshu?
Yes, thank you.
Venkatachalam.
So I have a query on the Vasanas.
Yes.
My understanding is that all our senses live in the present.
Yes.
They don't have any memory. It's only the mind that keeps on storage the past.
Yes.
And so my question is, are our Vasanas also shaped by our mind? And so if we can limit our, I don't know if it is possible, the nature of our stored memories.
Yes.
Only to the role that we are playing in the transactional world.
Yes.
Then we can say that we can stay unconnected with the transactional world and we live rightly.
True. It is possible. It is possible. Venkatachalam. Vasana manifests as mind and intellect.
Okay.
Vasana manifests as mind and intellect in this context.
Okay.
In the context of your question, the whole meaning of the word Vasana we have changed here. Vasana is when the tendencies, inclinations, nature is in an unmanifest form, it is called Vasana. When it starts manifesting, it becomes the mind.
Okay.
So Vasana manifesting is the mind. It's just memory. What they call as, it is just memory.
Memory, okay.
What they call as the ingrained, nowadays they say pattern forming mechanism, they say, no?
Yeah.
Everything you do something very repeatedly, you form a pattern. Physiology calls something as muscle memory, isn't it?
Yes.
Muscle memory, so Vasana means you do something and something is left behind and stored.
And stored, okay.
When we say left behind, it is stored somewhere. Where is it stored?
The
It's
mind.
stored in the causal body called Vasana. It manifests as mind and intellect in the subtle body. That is why we say from the causal body, it manifests as the subtle body.
Okay.
So Vasanas comes in the subtle body. In the captive of the mind, we will be taking that definition of Vasana.
Okay.
Because in the captive of the mind, he is saying the first statement we will read in that is this. Vasana manifest as mind and intellect. That's what we are going to read. Correct? Huh? It's there in the book. No, that's how it's in the book. By heart. That's how it will start like that. The topic starts like that. Vasana manifest as mind and intellect. Here the word Vasana has this meaning. So that's why I said when we go there, we will take a different approach to the word Vasana there. We'll take a different approach and then it will be connected to your nature. And then that definition is what will be connected to your query.
Okay.
Is okay, Venkatachalam?
Thank you. So it is our intelligence, our intellect,
Yes.
based on the past, the
Yes.
vasanas that we.
Correct.
So all are not having the same capability or the capacity.
Yes. All are not having the same capability. All are not having the same capacity. Doesn't mean they are inferior or superior. Capabilities differ, but not superior or inferior. That is very clear.
It's a choice or a direction.
Yes, choice, direction. That's all. Capabilities differ. Capabilities differing doesn't make it superior or
inferior.
Inferior. Yes, definitely capabilities differ. But based on this, to develop a complex is what we call as wrong. But natures differ. Capabilities do differ. It's a fact of life and we have to accept it. There's nothing wrong in accepting it, but to develop a complex out of it is what we call it as. Is it okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with the mind next week.